February 2024. I've noted we have Councillor Anderson and Councillor Archie Buchanan present. We have apologies from Councillor Matthew Buchanan, Councillor Jerry Convery present, Councillor Cooper, Councillor Fagan is present. We have apologies from Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Ferguson Miller is present. Councillor Frame? No. Councillor Gray? No. Councillor Kerr? No. Councillor MacDonald? Councillor McAdams is present. Councillor McDougall? No. I've got Councillor Robb present and Councillor Scott. Apologies from Councillor Watson and Councillor Williams present. We also have a number of officers and head teachers present. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Have any declarations of interest from any of the members? No. Okay, thanks for that. Next item is minutes of the previous meeting. Can I have a proposal in the sector? Okay, thanks, Jerry. And John, thank you very much. Any matters arising? No. Okay, thank you very much. Item 3, Education Scotland, and it's a Murray Primary School, and we've got Andy Gray, who's the lead officer, and Irene Tremble, head teacher, will speak to the report.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, councillors. My name is Andy Gray and I'm the Quality Link Officer for Murray Primary School. I'm pleased to be here today with the head teacher, Mrs Irene Tremble, to advise members on the inspection outcome. In April 2023, Education Scotland undertook a full model inspection on the quality of education provision within Murray Primary School. The inspection report was published on the 27th of June 2023. The full model inspection focuses on 4 quality indicators from How Good Is Our School. The school received gradings for each of these indicators, as well as a more detailed written report of findings which highlights particular strengths and areas for continued improvement. The outcome for Murray Primary was very positive. Quality indicator 1.3, Leadership of Change, was evaluated as very good. This shows major strengths and very few areas of improvement. Quality indicator 2.3, Learning, Teaching and Assessment, was also evaluated as very good. Quality indicator 3.2, Raising Attainment and Achievement, was evaluated as very good. And finally, quality indicator 3.1, Ensuring Wellbeing, Equality, Inclusion, was also evaluated as very good. For all of the quality indicators to be cited as very good provides the local authority and pupils and families a high degree of confidence about the quality provision within Murray Primary and the continued capacity of the school to continue improving. In terms of the demographics of Murray Primary, it is situated in East Kilbride near the town centre within South Lanarkshire. The school comprises of a school, and as part of that, an additional supports need provision. In this school session, 2023-24, 6% of pupils live in SIMD 1 and 2, and 33% of pupils are entitled to free school meals. The school received £71,050 of pupil equity funding to narrow the poverty-related attainment gap. Irene Tremble, the current head teacher, took up post in 2015. I'm now going to hand you over to Irene, who will expand on the inspection grades, talk about some of the particular highlights from the report, and consider the areas for continued improvement.
Thank you, Andy. Good afternoon, councillors. I'm delighted to be here today to talk about our HMI report, which was published on June 27th, 2023. Our staff, pupils, families and partner agencies were absolutely delighted with the extremely positive inspection report for Murray Primary School. We were thrilled that the inspectors graded our school as very good in all 4 areas inspected. As head teacher at Murray Primary, I have never been more proud of our whole school community than I was during the inspection. The HMIE inspection provided us with the opportunity to showcase and celebrate our school and the work we do. Our pupils, families, staff and partner agencies welcomed the opportunity to take ownership of the inspection experience and give feedback to HMI in the form of questionnaires, participation in focus groups and engaging in dialogue with the inspectors during their week-long visit. This evidenced Team Murray at our very best, as all stakeholders are extremely proud of our school and embraced the opportunity to tell HMIE all about the life and work of Murray Primary. The inspectors could see that our school values of inclusion, respect, kindness, friendship, honesty, ambition and achievement were living values in our school and made a positive impact on the daily lives of our pupils. They commended the children on their excellent behaviour, marvellous Murray manners and the respect shown to others and the friendly interactions they observed. There are many highlights detailed in our report. I would like to give you a flavour of this by providing some statements from our inspection report to showcase the very good practice HMIE observed. Ensuring that all children understand their own importance and worth as members of the school community lies at the heart of the school's work. This shared vision underpins all aspects of school life at Murray Primary School. The head teacher, senior leaders, teachers and support staff all work together with energy and huge commitment to meet the well-being needs of all children and families. This engenders very high levels of trust among all members of the school community and supports the development of happy, confident children. Staff promote inclusion by providing many opportunities for children from the mainstream and the ASN-based classes to learn together. Children and families benefit from the strong focus on equality and a determination to translate this into enabling all children to experience success. All staff and children are ambitious and have high expectations of themselves and others. Children's well-being and achievement are central to the school ethos. Children benefit from a nurturing culture of mutual respect where learning experiences are high quality, meaningful, challenging and fun. We were delighted that very few areas for improvement were identified as part of the inspection process. We are continuing to develop play-based approaches to learning in the early level, and this has been a significant aspect of our school improvement plan this year. In line with national and local guidance, we will continue to develop processes for tracking the progress of children across all curricular areas. Everyone in Murray Primary School community is very proud of our extremely positive inspection report. I would like to share with you a comment made to the senior leadership team on the final day of the inspection by one of the inspectors. The inspector shared with us that following such a positive inspection week, he was sad to leave our school and wished that he could stay for longer. We were touched by this compliment, and I believe this highlights what a positive experience this was for all involved. Even the weather was beautiful and sunny throughout the inspection week, unlike today, which, as we know, is a rarity in Scotland. It certainly was a week we will remember with great pride. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. I'll open up to members of the committee for questions.
No question, Chair. It's not a question, it's just I'd like to pass on my congratulations to yourself and the staff, and don't be downhearted, because if they didn't give you a recommendation for continued improvement, keeping themselves in a wee job. So don't worry about it.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. Could I ask the committee to agree the recommendations on page 5? Agreed. Thank you very much. You can leave if you wish, because it'll take us a wee while to march through everybody. Let you get away. Okay, we have St Louise Primary School next, which is Martina Hendry, and who's the lead officer, and Siobhan Moody. All right. Okay, off you go.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, councillors. My name is Martina Hendry, and I am the Quality Link Officer for St Louise Primary School in East Kilbride. And I am pleased to be here today with the head teacher, Mrs Siobhan Moody, to advise members on the inspection outcome. During the week beginning 18th September 2023, Education Scotland undertook a short model inspection on the quality of educational provision within St Louise Primary School, and the inspection report was published on the 21st of November 2023. The short model inspection focuses on 2 quality indicators from How Good Is Our School. The school received gradings for each of these indicators, as well as a more detailed written report of findings, which highlights particular strengths and areas for continued improvement. The outcome for St Louise Primary was very positive. Quality Indicator 2.3, Learning, Teaching and Assessment, was evaluated as very good, and Quality Indicator 3.2, Raising Attainment and Achievement, was evaluated as very good. For both of the quality indicators to be cited as very good provides the local authority and pupils and families with a high degree of confidence about the quality of provision within St Louise and the continued capacity of the school to continue to improve. In terms of the demographics of the school, it is situated in East Kilbride near the town centre. The school comprises of a school with 7 mainstream classrooms. In this school session 23-24, 9.3% of pupils are living in SIMD 1 and 2, and 9% of pupils are entitled to free school meals. The school received £29,160 of pupil equity fund to narrow the poverty-related attainment gap. Siobhan Moody, the current head teacher, took up her post in February 2017. I'm now going to hand over to Siobhan, who will expand on the inspection grades, talk about some of the particular highlights from the report and consider the areas for continued improvement. Thank you.
Thank you, Martina. Good afternoon, councillors. As head teacher at St Louise Primary School, I was delighted for the entire school community on receiving a very positive report from His Majesty's inspectors during their visit across the week of the 18th of September 2023. The key strengths identified really do reflect what makes our school so special, and we are extremely proud of the positive, welcoming ethos and culture that was clearly felt by the inspectors during their time in our school, and also the recognition that we received in relation to the commitment we have as a whole school community to building and encouraging positive relationships that make our school a place where everyone feels happy and valued. I have had the privilege of being head teacher at St Louise Primary since February 2017. In that time, I have worked closely with pupils, families, staff and the wider community to ensure that we focus on priorities that are relevant to the context of our school, but most importantly, that make a difference to the young learners in our care. A large part of this is ensuring the well-being of our children is prioritised and supported so that they can be resilient learners who are ready and able to learn, which has never been more important given the impact we have all experienced post-COVID. Our school prides itself on being attachment informed, where a whole school nurture approach is delivered and fostered to create a learning environment where children become self-regulated, resilient learners. It was pleasing to hear from the inspectors during the visit that they found our children to be confident that their views were sought, valued and acted upon within nurturing learning environments. As a whole staff, we place great importance and value on continuing professional development, and we work tirelessly to improve our school. This session, our school improvement priorities have included the raising of attainment in writing as part of the West Partnership Improving Our Schools programme. This has been a great opportunity to work as a whole staff, looking at school and class data, features of highly effective practice, and to develop the writing across our school. The inspectors agreed with our focus and could see why this was something we were working on, further validating our own self-evaluation processes. We were fortunate to be offered a place on the Council's programme for play pedagogy this session, which has enabled us to embed play-based learning at the end of early level, and we are now confident that we will continue to develop this further across other stages of the school. During the visit, inspectors found our children to be successfully supported in play-based approaches, which encourage our children to be settled, curious and making independent choices. We also continue to develop a consistent use of outdoor learning across the school to increase pupil confidence and engagement in learning to enhance the overall health and well-being of our learners. Effective use of the variety of areas in our outdoor spaces has provided creative and engaging opportunities for learners. And finally, we are serving the common good with a commitment to communicate Catholic social teaching to promote social justice and opportunity for all. Our close links with our 2 parishes and our families has enabled us to support the spiritual journey of our pupils with a clear focus on gospel values that was evident to inspectors during their visit. As we were involved in the short model of inspection, we were assessed against 2 quality indicators. 2.3 Learning, Teaching and Assessment. Across the week, teachers were recognised for knowing their learners well, having a clear focus on high-quality learning outcomes, where learners received high-quality feedback about their learning, but most importantly, that all teachers had a strong understanding of the barriers which children may be facing in their learning. The identification of high-quality teaching and learning being provided by all staff was observed and noted as part of the inspection process, and it was humbling to have that practice validated and recognised. All staff continue to identify development needs and professional development opportunities that will enable us to ensure that we continue to provide these high-quality learning experiences and further build on this by taking forward the agreed next steps. 3.2 Raising Attainment and Achievement. Over the last few years, we have prioritised raising attainment and worked hard to ensure that all children are making progress. These efforts have enabled us to exceed the stretch aims set by South Lanarkshire Council for Literacy and to closely match those set for numeracy in session 22-23. In order to identify and support the most effective interventions that make the most difference to our learners, we have collected and analysed a variety of data. The inspectors sampled our processes and evidence for doing this and acknowledged that we have developed a robust and effective tracking system which provides carefully selected and relevant data about children's progress and levels of attainment. This validation has further increased staff confidence in assessing curriculum for excellence levels and confirmed that we have as a school a clear and sound understanding of the benchmarks. As you know, South Lanarkshire Council provide a range of fantastic initiatives which support schools with additional funding and staffing towards equitable opportunities for all. Alongside our pupil equity funding, we greatly appreciate this support as it has allowed us to further develop our own approaches to tackling the issues families face with the cost of the school day. Our work in this area was highlighted by HMIE as practice worth sharing more widely, and we were delighted that they reported on this. Within the report, it is included under the importance of partnership working with parents and carers to provide all children with equitable opportunities to learn. They reported that parents feel welcomed into the school and very much part of their children's journey of learning. Staff work in partnership with parents to ensure that the cost of the school day position statement incorporates a variety of supports. These are available to all families with the aim of reducing any barriers to learning. The Parent Council helps provide resources, digital equipment, uniforms and financial supports. These strategies help to minimise and remove barriers and ensure a sense of belonging and equitable access to learning experiences. Partnership working with the Parent Council also enabled shared investment in enhancing outdoor spaces and resources where children had a wide range of opportunities for creative play and a heightened interest and curiosity in learning outdoors. This was further commented on within the Quality Indicator 3.2, where senior leaders and all staff had a very strong understanding of the strengths and challenges faced by individual children and their families. They placed high importance on ensuring equity of success for all children. We are extremely proud of the work we all do around equity and have been asked to share this practice more widely through Education Scotland's sharing of highly effective practice processes. We have submitted a pro forma that will now be shared nationally. Overall, our inspection experience was a very positive one. It confirmed that our own self-evaluation procedures were robust and effective, and we will now continue to work hard to ensure that we improve, taking account of the 2 identified areas from the inspection, which were to continue to provide children with opportunities to apply what they are learning in literacy and numeracy across all other areas of learning, and to build on existing good practice to develop further how we know children are making progress across all other areas of the curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Questions or points from? Members?
Pass on my best wishes to the whole school community. Thanks very much.
Anybody else? No. Okay. Oh, Kirsty. Oh, sorry, John Anderson first.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I've got a wee bit of inside knowledge with the school, having had 3 granddaughters being taught to are now at university. Another one will be finishing her exams either this year or next year. She's hoping to go to university. And I was at the school quite often on learning days. Unfortunately, I didn't learn too much. They learnt an awful lot, particularly in the technology side, which I know the school has been recognised nationally for it. The 3 granddaughters, unfortunately, learnt a lot, gave up trying to teach their grandpa anything to do with his phone or his laptop or anything like that. So, but they've relished it and they've done well. So thanks to the school for their education and all the other people's education. Thanks.
Thanks for that, John. Kirsty.
Congratulations on that excellent report from Education Scotland. First of all, as a social worker, I was really interested to hear you talk about attachment-informed ethos within your school, and I'm sure that will be related to the quality of your partnership working with the parents within the school. So that was really gratifying to hear. And also as well in terms of the area of the strength in terms of the improved progress of children's learning, particularly relating to those children who may require additional support. I think that's really important. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. If there's nobody else, can I ask the committee to agree the recommendations? Oh, somebody else come in now. Kirsten.
Sometimes it clicks off, doesn't it? Just to congratulate St Louise Primary, and I've seen some of the things you've been doing on Twitter. Great stuff on play pedagogy, outdoor learning, and also to congratulate you on the work you've been doing on nature and climate, which I've also seen on Twitter as well. So well done, keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you for that. So I'll let you escape.
You asked to agree the recommendations.
Sorry?
Agree the recommendations.
Yeah, I did that.
Did you?
Yep. Did it just before the then Kirsten come in. So it's been agreed. Okay, next is Straven Academy, and we've got Linda Gardner, who's the lead officer, and Wahida Hug, the head teacher.
Here and good afternoon, councillors. My name is Linda Gardner and I am the Quality Link Officer for Straven Academy.
Sorry, just do it again. Yeah, sorry.
I'm pleased to be here today with the head teacher, Mrs Wahida Huck, to advise members of the inspection outcome. During the week beginning 2nd of October 2023, Education Scotland undertook a short model inspection of the quality of education provision within Straven Academy. The inspection report was published on 12th of December 2023. The short model inspection focuses on 2 quality indicators from How Good Is Our School. The school receives gradings for each of these indicators, as well as a more detailed written report of findings, which highlights particular strengths and areas for continued improvement. The outcome for Straven was positive. Quality Indicator 2.3, Learning, Teaching and Assessment, was evaluated as good. Quality Indicator 3.2, Raising Attainment and Achievement, very good. In terms of the demographics of Straven Academy, it is situated in the Straven area of South Lanarkshire. Wahida Huck, the current head teacher, took up post in April 2022. I'm going to hand over to Wahida, who will expand on the inspection grades and talk about some of the particular highlights from the report and consider the areas for continued improvement. Thank you. Over to you, Wahida.
Thank you, Linda. Good afternoon, councillors. I have the privilege of been head teacher in Straven Academy for almost 2 years now, and a member of staff in Straven for over 15, started off as a faculty head. My first set of priorities post-appointment were health and well-being of our young people, families and staff, and to place the focus firmly back on learning and teaching. In September, we were notified of a short model inspection due to take place on the 2nd of October. We were delighted to receive a positive report. It was good to hear that across our school community, the inspectors noted the work we do to create positive and purposeful learning experiences. It was reported that the effective leadership of the senior team has created a collegiate environment where staff work together to effectively plan and implement improvements aimed at raising attainment and achievement. We are ambitious as a school, and our targets are just as ambitious, and I truly believe by building strong relationships, trust, respect and active agents across our school community, we can thrive together. As Linda mentioned there, in terms of our inspection report for Quality Indicator 2.3, Learning, Teaching and Assessment, we are identified as good, and for Quality Indicator 3.2, Raising Attainment and Achievement, we are identified as very good. The HMI report highlighted particular areas of good practice and next steps, which I'll run through very briefly. In terms of learning, teaching and assessment, for learning and engagement, our strengths were identified as having positive relationships and attitudes to learning which set a tone of calm and supported learning experiences, and our staff are committed to young people as individuals. For quality of teaching, Straven's motto underpins the guidelines in relation to the expectation for learning, teaching and assessment, which is beginning to have a positive effect. And teachers share the purpose of learning, and lessons are well organised and resourced, and clear instructions are always given to our young people. In terms of effective use of assessment, our strengths were that we have collaborative approaches to assessment in terms of shared understanding and standards and expectations of our young people. All our faculties engage in moderation, and this is further strengthened through the local authority collaborative work that we do. The sharing of assessment approaches is highly valued by our staff, and this was identified as an important strength of our school. In the senior phase, there is strong understanding of standards, and a high number of our staff are involved in SQA duties, which helps raise attainment. With planning, tracking and monitoring, our strengths were that we have clear and embedded approaches to moderation, which has led to improvements in planning assessments in BGE. And that is the broad general education. There's a clear rationale for tracking and monitoring, and the assessment approaches that we use are highly effective. And our staff know the progress of learners within the broad general education, and this helps with the transition into the senior phase, and this was commended by the inspectors. We also have a very strong understanding of the SQA requirements and our impact of our self-evaluation through our validated approaches have been positive. In terms of next steps, for learning, teaching and assessment, we are to continue to plan the work within the skills framework to support learners to be able to articulate their skills, and to continue to develop a shared understanding of effective structures of lessons. And we will continue to explore strategies to enable our young people to lead their learning, become active agents in the classroom, and to deepen learning and thinking skills. And we will continue to develop highly motivating questioning skills which lead to the strengthening of recall. Also within this quality indicator, we will continue to develop peer learning to motivate and help build learner confidence, and to continue to improve our approaches on learning, teaching and assessment in terms of consistency of high quality learning experiences with specific focus on targeted learners. For quality indicator 3.2, raising attainment and achievement, our key strengths were attainment in literacy and numeracy, and the careful planning and moderation of literacy and numeracy assessments, which with activities to lead to robust, reliable judgments. And we have effective tracking of learners at risk who ordinarily would not attain literacy and numeracy. However, we have made positive impact in terms of those areas. And we have a number of literacy initiatives to support raising attainment, for example, through reading for pleasure. In terms of breadth and depth, our strengths were that we have introduced a range of new courses to help with learner pathways, building a strong curriculum for our young people, which includes subjects like photography, skills for work courses, and exercise and fitness and lab skills. As a school, we have introduced a range of non-national qualifications to increase the breadth and depth of attainment for our young people, hence broadening our curriculum. For learners, in terms of their achievements, we have a large number of activities and extracurricular clubs which run, including trips, which were commended by the inspectors, and our learners are able to talk confidently about their achievements. Our young people, they are keen to develop their skills, and through the S3 electives, this has become apparent, and our learners can talk confidently about the pathways that they will follow through these experiences into senior phase. Our partnerships are very strong, and we have strengthened those partnerships through developing the young workforce, and as a school we have been recognised through our awards and accreditations in terms of our business partnerships, in particular through Enterprising Schools and Reading Schools awards. Equity is at the heart of what we do and what we believe in, and we have a very strong practice within our establishment through the tracking systems for our young people who fall into the equity entitlement. Our tracking systems help identify those vulnerable learners, and interventions are put into place. We have robust processes for assessment arrangements, and we have strong PT equity and excellent leads who ensure our cost of the school day initiatives such as Home by Home Ec and Chrome for Home do not impact negatively on our young people, but reduce any barriers that our young people may have. In terms of our next steps for raising attainment and achievement, we will continue to develop opportunities for learner pathways, and we will continue to embed the skills framework. And finally, we will continue to support our learners to be able to talk confidently about their skills. Councillors, the inspection team commended our new learning and teaching assessment position statement, which aims to establish high expectations for classroom practice and improving consistency of high quality approaches across our school. The inspection team also highlighted the strong leadership within the senior team and our confidence with their confidence as well as our confidence with strategic direction to lead the school to ensure all young people thrive. Overall, our inspection in October was a positive experience. It confirmed our own self-evaluation in the last 18 months and has provided us with clear steer with regards to our next steps as a school community to ensure continuous improvement and provide the best outcomes for our learners. Our strong, committed teaching staff, our support staff and partners, as well as our young people who on the whole come to school to learn, make our school a wonderful place to grow and thrive. Our parents are hugely supportive of the work that we do in Straven Academy, and together we hope to achieve success. Finally, I'd like to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to feed back on our inspection.
Thank you very much. I'll bring in Councillor Frame first.
Thanks very much, Chair. I just want to congratulate Straven Academy for a fantastic report. Since being elected, I've become probably an ongoing member of the attending the parent council. I've been welcomed into their school. I've attended several events, which I have to say are always fabulous. The students are absolutely fabulous at everything they do. And what it shows you is the teachers are there for these students and they're willing to change. But most of all, what I want to thank them for is they actually listen to the students. And it's the students that guide them as well, and they will listen and they will change. And I want to congratulate them and say well done, and I want them to pass on my congratulations to the full staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Fagan.
Thanks, Chair. Just a few remarks. I recently visited Straven Academy for the first time to introduce the Holocaust Memorial event, which has to be said, hosted very well and very professionally by the school. I think we've had 3 of these reports now, and I do think they're getting a bit better at being able to delve deeper behind the kind of figures and that we're usually presented with, and the kind of headline findings into what makes a school work. We're getting a flavour now, I think, of what 3 schools across South Lanarkshire are really like. And I think, having listened to the report, but also the presentation, I think my message for the school to take back to that wider school community and to the staff is really just to one of reassurance that we recognise the findings that have come out of that report, particularly for me, that point about the environment that has been created. I think that is immensely important. Obviously, the attainment, the very strong levels of attainment that we're seeing from Straven Academy, but there was something that was in the presentation that we have just heard about those other forms of qualifications that might sit outside of the qualifications framework, which are actually very important, particularly what we're looking for when it comes to some of our community planning partnership outcomes. And it's always positive to see schools finding other forms of accreditation beyond the reports that we're presented with at these meetings. So I think it's extremely positive, and I have no question, just want to make sure that give the reassurance to the school leadership team that the good work that's going on there has been recognised.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your input today, and I'll let you escape.
Agree the recommendation.
Yep, just move on to that. Could I ask the committee to agree the recommendations? Agreed. Okay, item 6 on our papers is the community payback order, and it's presented by Ewan Lloyd and Gillian Booth. Got that right? Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, councillors. My name is Ewan Lloyd. I'm the Fieldwork Manager for Justice Social Work in South Lanarkshire. I'm with my colleague, the Service Manager for Justice Social Work, Gillian Booth. We are going to give a presentation today on community payback orders, and in particular the unpaid work and other activity requirement. So we've got an overhead. I don't know if we are able to put that up. And if we could move on to the second slide, please. That's perfect. So I'm going to start off with an overview of community payback orders, or CPOs as the acronym is. Community payback orders have been in place since 2011, when they essentially sort of brought under one umbrella a number of different types of orders: community service, supervised attendance orders and probation orders. So but now, for all offences committed after 2011, the court has one order that they can impose, a community payback order. The most common requirement of a community payback order is unpaid work and other activity requirement. That's up to around about 70% of all CPOs have that requirement. That's the requirement that we're going to focus on today. The objectives around about CPOs are, well, there's four primary objectives: to reduce the likelihood of reoffending, to provide credible alternatives to custody, to provide payback for the community against which the offences have been carried out and where the harm has been done, but also to enhance interpersonal and vocational skills, which will in turn feed back into Objective A in terms of reducing the likelihood of further offending. So those are the things that we're looking to do through CPOs and unpaid work and other activity. The courts can impose between 20 and 300 hours worth of unpaid work on any individual. That can be across one order, or sometimes people are subject to more than one order, but the maximum overall that they can have a number of hours of unpaid work that can be imposed are 300. The other activity part of unpaid work can be 30 hours or 30% of the overall number of hours imposed by the court. And the distinction between unpaid work and other activity is that unpaid work must involve some form of community benefit. It must closely relates with with objective C there in terms of providing payback for the community, whereas the other activity can involve personal development of the individual that's subject to the order, and the idea there is that type of personal development can reduce the risk of reoffending later on. So moving on to the next slide now. The unpaid work service in South Lanarkshire is based in the Auchentibber Resource Centre in Blantyre, which is a standalone purpose-built building. We cover the whole of South Lanarkshire, and we respond to requests from individuals, community groups and other council services for support to improve their areas and their assets. We have a large team. We consist of an operations manager, 2.5 team leaders, 13.5 social work assistants, who are what we know as case managers, sometimes known as, who actually oversee and case manage the individuals that are subject to orders. We have 4.5 coordinator posts that coordinate the placements themselves. As you'll see later on, there's a wide variety of types of placement that that people carry out, an unpaid work and other activity. And finally, we've got just under 17 full-time equivalent placement supervisors who supervise the placements themselves and the people as they carry out the unpaid work. So unpaid work is the largest part of justice social work, both in terms of staffing and the number of service users. And the service runs 7 days a week, and it also runs 4 evenings during the week as well, Monday to Thursday. So going on to the next slide now, I'm going to just give a brief overview of the type of work that unpaid work carries out, the unpaid work service carries out. The majority of work is community-based work. That's groups of service users who carry out a wide variety of tasks in the community to improve and maintain community assets. And we'll give some examples a little bit later on. We've also got a number of projects that are based in the Auchentibber base as well, such as we have a large kitchen there, so we have a bread and soup making. We have a wellbeing group that runs out of that service, that base as well. We have a large laundry service in Auchentibber, and we do a number of carry out laundry services for local charities and other agencies to support the local community. And we also have a workshop based within Auchentibber as well, where the service users under supervision and under guidance can make a wide variety of different things for the community, park benches and so on. We also have remote projects, which has really been a development since COVID, when we had to deliver unpaid work and obviously the very challenging circumstances of COVID and of various lockdowns. And remote projects can involve things like what we call rag rugs and survival blankets, which is essentially using things like old clothing to make rugs that can be distributed in the community, and even crisp packets to make survival blankets, which can be then used in the community as well. So a few imaginative different ways of delivering unpaid work and benefiting the community, and some of those have evolved through COVID. Finally, we have a number of partnerships that we work with, such as Bernardo's and Action for Children, who will support service users to deliver unpaid work in the community as well. Moving on now to next slide. As well as the unpaid work that I mentioned, the different types of unpaid work, we also provide supports for the individuals on unpaid work, very much with a view to addressing some of the underlying reasons why they became involved in the justice system initially, and working with the overall aim to make sure that they don't return to the criminal justice system and that they don't reoffend. So those can include things like life skills, such as road safety and home fire safety, as well as financial literacy programmes that we've run. We do a lot of health and wellbeing support. We have Keep Well nurses that attend on a regular basis to do sort of health checkups of our service users. We've also hosted a couple of events within the last year or so, Hep C elimination programme events and the Love Your Liver events as well. So health and wellbeing is a core part of what we do. We also look to support people into further education or employability, for instance through access to college courses, again coming back to that objective around about personal development of the individuals that we work with. So moving on to the next slide. In terms of the amount of work we've done, we've taken these figures from the first 3 quarters of 2022-23, and the unpaid work service has delivered, as you can see, over 15,000 hours of work and activities in South Lanarkshire. Almost 8,500 of those have been in the community, improving and maintaining community assets. We've also delivered 3,750 hours through work with partner agencies, such as the ones I mentioned earlier on. And on average, we're looking at over 1,200 hours per month that's delivered through unpaid work and other activity. And in addition to that, there's also been in addition to that, that's 1,200 hours of unpaid work, I should have said. In addition to that, there's almost 3,000 hours of other activity completed as well. Okay, moving on to the next one, as well as those the overall number of hours that we've delivered, we also do sort of bespoke projects as is required in the community. For instance, we've had 2 appeals recently over winter jackets appeals and school uniforms appeals, where we've collected jackets and school uniforms that were unwanted or unused, and we've then distributed them to the community, to people in need, whether it's through charities or whether it's through the children and family social work as well, to make sure that those things are getting to the people that need them most. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to Gillian Booth, who's going to talk you through some future plans and other aspects of unpaid work service. Thank you.
Thanks, Ewan. Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, councillors. Thank you for this opportunity for us to present our community payback presentation. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the future plans that we have at unpaid work, a little bit about the national context that we sit within in terms of justice, and also just to, if I may, just present a short video around about the work that our Action for Children and young people through our whole systems approach team in unpaid work undertook about 1.5 years ago. So the first thing I probably want to talk about is the peer mentor approach that we are extremely passionate about in justice social work, and that is about taking a public health approach to people that have difficulties with substance use. We've embedded peer mentors within other parts of our justice service, so most notably our locality teams, and also our alcohol and drug problem solving court in Hamilton, and we'd like to embed that further within unpaid work services. For those that follow our key performance indicators, you will see that one of our challenges is trying to help service users start their unpaid work from day one of court sentencing. So at the moment we're sitting under the 75% target, so we're around about 72%, and we're doing a lot of work to look at how we can help service users improve their attendance at unpaid work for their first day induction, and also their 7-day start for unpaid work. And we recognise that by bringing in people with lived experience of our justice system, that can help support people, particularly when you think about an assertive outreach approach. So if a service user doesn't turn up, it's then about following them up at home, trying all avenues that we can to get people engaged and starting their unpaid work so they can get through their order as swiftly as possible. And communities can see the benefit from that. So we're hopefully going to be embedding that within the next 6 months in unpaid work. The next area of development I'd like to talk about is the kitchen hub coordinator post. One of the things that we also value at unpaid work is making sure that people have good life skills that they develop and are then able to take those home and develop within their communities, particularly thinking about employability. So by employing a kitchen learning hub coordinator, we've seen that we're able to dedicate the time and resource and knowledge into teaching service users, whether that's about food preparation, most notably you may be aware of our bread making workshops that we undertake with service users, and also our soup kitchen that we've developed in terms of how you can make sustainable, cheap, healthy meals, and then also thinking about budgeting skills and how to look after yourself and your family. So that's a key strategy for us to develop going forward. And then just following on from that is about our learning and employability strategy. Back in 2020, we undertook some analysis of how many of our service users were unemployed, and it may be no surprise that was over 50%. So we thought it was really important, also taking from the knowledge of the Hard Edges report that was undertaken in 2019 by Heriot-Watt University and some other researchers, that told us about offending being so closely linked to unemployability, mental health and poverty. So we developed with our vocational development service in South Lanarkshire Council to co-locate an employability support worker into our unpaid work service. So they work closely with our case managers to look at what the employability training and learning needs are of our service users. It's now time to evaluate that approach, to see how successful that has been, what the outcomes have been of that. But we're also, myself and you, in next week following up with South Lanarkshire College, and that is to look at what kind of vocational and general learning courses that are available to our service users, particularly for our community payback orders, both unpaid work and those within general supervision in the localities. So we're quite keen to progress that area as well. Can I get the next slide, please? Thank you. So I said I would talk a little bit about the national context. So you may be aware that the Scottish Government published the Vision for Justice in Scotland in 2022, and I'll just outline the 4 main priorities. But it was about early intervention with a preventative approach, supporting women and children within the justice system, hearing victims' voices, and shifting the balance between the use of custody and justice in the community. And most notably, that last one, in terms of shifting the balance of custody in community, is the one that I think unpaid work focuses on the greatest. We know that certainly custody has limited rehabilitation opportunities for people. We know just there, we've noted about the rates of reoffending under community payback orders are lower compared to those that receive short-term custodial sentences. We also know that with the Bail and Release from Custody Act that will be coming into force later this year, that there will be a requirement now for social work staff to undertake bail assessments for all people that are at risk of custody that do not pose a risk of serious harm. So we're conscious we've got quite a lot to offer and quite a lot of work to do in terms of alternatives to remand and custodial sentences. I'll maybe just move on now to the next slide, please. So I'd just like to showcase some of the work that we've done through the Educational Gardening Project, or the Kitchen Garden Project as it's more locally known. And this came around about us establishing a vision around how educational gardening could support both our communities and our service users. And our main objectives, aims and objectives of this, is to provide horticultural skills for service users. So looking at the Royal Caledonian Glyn Award. Also to contribute to the South Lanarkshire Good Food Strategy, the 2020 to 2025 objectives, in particular around good food at home and in the community and food growing, which I've spoken about just there. Also to contribute to the South Lanarkshire Sustainable Development and Climate Change Strategy, particularly around natural environments being protected and enhanced and respected, and improving people's health and well-being within these spaces. Also to evidence to communities that the meaningful reparation is being completed through gardening, growing and landscape maintenance that directly involves communities and service users where appropriate. And also to support service users' well-being and mental health through outdoor projects and bringing together the connection between nature, mental health and physical activity. So you can see there, that was a nice sunny day that we took those photos, but the last picture there just demonstrates some of the fresh produce that we've grown. And we donate that to the community and also use within our kitchen learning hub. Next slide, please. Last year, we did a series of open days, and we did one of those in East Kilbride, and that was at the Calder Glen Park, if anybody was able to come and visit us there. So we showcased some of the work that we do, and there's some of our staff that were there that day, and we spoke to, I think, a number of elected members as well as people in the community, and just helped explain a little bit about what we do and promote the service. So we received a lot of really good feedback from that day, both from people in the community and also our staff. So we're looking to develop that further this year. You may be aware that we usually always do these at our Rock and Tibber base in Blantyre, but we felt this last year it was particularly important to go out to the communities. So that's why we took that approach. Next slide, please. So this is just some of the work. I've just got a couple of slides before I go into the short video that just demonstrate some of the work that we do in the community. So again, this is at Calder Glen Park, and we're doing some landscaping work there and helping with the drainage and walkway in the path, in the park, should I say. And then our last slide there, just about revamping one of our children's houses in East Kilbride, Hunter's Children's House, and that was our educational gardener that supported that. So you can see that made that a really tidy and pleasant place for children to be in, and also developing and learning their skills in growing and outdoor spaces. So I will now attempt to try and share our video. As I say, this is the Burnhill Action Group, and also known as the Highbacks in Rutherglen. And probably just to say that this was our Action for Children Whole Systems Approach service, and we recognise that for our 16 to 25-year-olds that traditional unpaid work projects may not best suit them, particularly when you're thinking about the specialist kind of learning and development needs that young people have, their brain development, problem solving and understanding and following instructions. We realised we needed to take a more child-centred and trauma-informed approach. So I think this showcases how we did that to the benefit of the community in Rutherglen. So I will attempt to share it.
So this is the Highbacks area in the Burnhill. Previously it was used as a fly titting area. There was overgrown grass, there was burnt out mattresses, you know, it was really hazardous. A lot of antisocial behaviour would happen here, and it was just an area that people just would never use. And as you can see, it's a great asset. Developing this community garden was always about our young people. They're going to grow up in it. We wanted them to take ownership, we wanted them to take pride in it. When we had cut back all this grass and, you know, it was just a big open area, it sort of overwhelmed us a wee bit, and we sort of thought, how are we going to manage this? Having the community payback team here in Action for Children, we were really fortunate that Malcolm and his team have been here and made all these things happen, like building the fences to planters, you know, upcycling wood, and, you know, it's just been fantastic having Malcolm and his team here.
Action for Children were contacted by Burnhill Action Group to see if we could come up with a plan for this piece of ground over 6 months ago, and after a wee consultation period with South Lanarkshire Council and the Burnhill Action Group, drew them a plan. Everybody agreed to it. And then we brought in the young people to do the community payback orders, and for there they developed everything that was drawn on that plan, for the benches to the planters to the coffee hut to the stage, everything you see in the ground just now for the allotments, etc. It's a whole multi-agency involvement. We've got partnerships with Glencairn, junior football team, who allow us to use their toilet facilities. We've got Hugh Stirling provide materials and train staff to come in and do some training and give our young people qualifications in health and safety. So we've had young people coming back and volunteering, and once they've completed their orders, they've come back and spent some time volunteering. It's all been positive. The kids are now starting to come in and use it, and it's a wonderful space. It's safe. You're away from main roads, traffic, you know, so it's a fabulous area.
It's about encouraging people, you know, to get outdoors, encouraging positive mental health, physical health, engaging with your neighbours again, reducing that isolation and just connecting with local people. So there is challenges, there is hurdles, but don't let it put you off. Go to your neighbourhood planning, see if they can help you. Speak to your community engagement workers. These people are so approachable. We now have, you know, a really peaceful, quiet place where people can come and just enjoy the noise, enjoy the silence, enjoy the green space.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. It was very interesting. Any questions from anybody? Oh, Kirsty.
Thanks, Chair. I don't have any questions, but really it's just to kind of acknowledge, I mean, I was really struck by the open days, and I'm assuming that one of the objectives of your open days is to help destigmatise those who unfortunately end up in the criminal justice system, and demystify the whole process for communities. And I think that's really important. Together with all these projects, one of which obviously we've just seen a short video on. Also, I've heard you, Gillian, speak before about the overrepresentation of care experienced people within criminal justice, and again it's really interesting to hear about the integration of a whole systems approach into adult criminal justice services, and the use of action for children in delivering that. So thank you. Oh, and just a final comment. I look forward to learning more about criminal justice services. I think you have an open day planned.
Thank you. Yes, yes, we've got a series of open days planned for later this year. So yes, we would certainly welcome you along, Councillor, to those, and absolutely resonate with your comments around about destigmatising people that are on unpaid work, some of the challenges people face, and about how they can pay back to their communities. So yeah, absolutely a clear objective of the open day events. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Kirsten, Rob?
Thanks a lot. I came along to the open day last summer in Calderglen, and was really inspired by the kind of creative can-do approach and resourcefulness of your teams. Maybe it's born of not having much money, but I think you've got a real can-do attitude. And I think some of the work you've done in Calderglen Park has been brilliant, really welcomed by the community. And that whole investment in the life skills of your clients as well has been good. So they get something back and the community gets something back. I had a wee question about what sort of thinking about some of the land-based type work you've been doing. Are there any links into maybe like land qualifications that could benefit further partnership working on Clyde Climate Forest or other initiatives that the council might be working on to improve the land? Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Councillor. Yes, we're working currently with community and enterprise services to try and identify areas that we can support as part of wider sustainability and infrastructure work that the Council are looking at. So I think we're at the very early stages of looking at how we can support that, but certainly, yes, a priority going forward.
Anybody else? No. Okay, could I just ask you all to agree to note their presentation? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very interesting. Escape. Okay, we'll move on to housing and technical resources preparatory budgeting, and I got it right the first time. Okay, over to you.
Thank you. It certainly is hard to say, which I realise when I do these reports across 4 committees, and by the end of it I might be able to pronounce it properly. But thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, councillors. So I'm here today with my colleague Carol Graham, the Area Housing Manager for East Kilbride, to provide the committee with an update on the participatory budgeting activity undertaken by Housing and Technical Resources so far during 2023-24. I'll begin by providing an overview of the report, which you'll find on pages 39 to 40 of your pack, before passing over to Carol, who can provide more detail on the progress that has been made locally. So as the report notes, there are 2 main housing and technical resources budgets considered as part of the Council's participatory budgeting programme. Firstly, there is the estate improvement budget, which consists of £40,000 split evenly across the 4 housing divisions. Each local housing management team can then direct the funding towards projects and improvements that have been prioritised by tenants and other customers in the area. While the value of the budget is smaller than others across housing and technical resources, it is ideally suited to a participatory budgeting approach, as it allows a quick response to some of the day-to-day challenges people and communities can be experiencing. To date, a total of £6,913.13 has been allocated to 3 projects which are being undertaken in the East Kilbride area. These are installing additional street signage in Burlington Gardens following feedback from tenants that they were experiencing problems receiving post and deliveries, improving footpaths and fencing at Denholm Crescent after reports of refuse issues from tenants, and thirdly, painting bin store doors in Pine Crescent in response to tenant requests. The second housing and technical resources budget that contributes to the Council's participatory budgeting programme is the environmental aspect of the housing investment programme. Financially speaking, this is a much larger budget with a focus on projects that seek to improve the quality and energy efficiency of the Council's domestic housing stock. And to date, 2 projects are being undertaken in the East Kilbride area. Firstly, there's internal refurbishments to 2 sheltered housing projects that we've noted in the report there, and that saw tenants from all 50 properties involved in selecting colour schemes and soft furnishings for the communal lounge, kitchen, toilet and office areas. And the total cost of those internal refurbishments across the 2 sites was just over £23,000. And the second project is about upgrading lighting in Catcall Grove in preparation for the installation of CCTV to reduce antisocial behaviour at a cost of £4,500. So I'll now pass you over to Carol, who can provide more information on the progress made locally, and we can take any questions.
Thank you, Claire, and good afternoon, councillors. Forgive me if I repeat anything that Claire's said, but I'll give you a wee bit more detail about the projects that Claire has just spoken about. So I'll start off providing some information in terms of the estate management budget. Broadly speaking, as Claire said, ideas from tenants and residents in how to spend the budget come via housing officers, councillors, tenants and residents meetings and partners. Claire mentioned East Kilbride has £10,000 share of that wider £40,000 budget, and this year the team selected a number of small jobs alongside one bigger project. Currently we've committed just around £7,000 of the budget, but we are awaiting quotes that will use up the rest of the budget before year end, so the full £10,000 will be spent. In terms of the smaller jobs that we mentioned, Burlington Gardens, that's 5 blocks of flats that were built in 2018, and the tenants had conveyed to their housing officer that the signage that was installed at the time the flats were built was inadequate, and that was resulted in issues with post and deliveries. So the state improvement budget was used to put clearer signage above the doors, and tenants have fed back that they're happy with the new signage and have advised that the issues have been resolved. In Pine Crescent, this is another small job. Some of you will know that Pine Crescent is a sheltered housing complex, and at a tenants meeting, tenants highlighted that their bin shed doors were in need of some repair and a fresh coat of paint, and this work is scheduled to take place in the coming weeks. In Denholm Green, this was the larger project that I alluded to earlier. There are issues in this area in terms of refuse disposal, bin collection and bin storage. We carried out a waste education exercise in the area, chapping doors and leafleting alongside our colleagues in community and enterprise. And it was clear that part of the problem was the fact that there are stairs leading from the back court area where the bins are stored to street level where the bins are emptied. So as you would imagine, some of the tenants and residents were unable to take full bins up those stairs, which resulted in bins being left out in the street or on grassed areas full time. This was causing issues for the wider community. Not only was it unsightly, but it was causing issues for prams, etc., when folk are trying to pass on the pavement. To resolve that issue, we've had the tarmac path laid that you can see, and that's going around the block, and that has provided a flat surface for tenants and residents in order they have no difficulty taking their bins out to the collection area and returning them after the bins have been emptied. The work has just been completed over the last week, and we are in the throes of writing to all the tenants and residents around that area to ensure that they use that path and return their bins to the back court after they have been collected. We also put a galvanised fence around the bin area to keep bins in the one place, the one area, and to stop them blowing around in the windy weather, etc. As I alluded to, there are a number of other jobs we are considering, and we've either just received or are awaiting a quote, and we'll carry these jobs out before the end, or some of those jobs out before the end of the year. So Banff Place, we've received the quote for that. It'll cost around £1,300, and it's to install a bit of fencing that will close a back court off that is currently exposed to the roads. And we're looking at other 2 projects, line painting in the car park of Castlefield Gardens and line painting in Glen Grove. That's a piece of land where lockups have just been recently demolished, and we want to, it looks a bit dirty on that programme, but that was just as the work was being completed. So we'll line that off in order people use that for off-street parking rather than dumping anything on it. We anticipate that we'll have the £10,000 to spend next year, and so I'd be happy to look at any ideas brought forward by our councillors. If you could just let me know if there are any small jobs of this kind of nature that you would like to see carried out. So moving on to the housing investment programme, we have, as Claire said, had internal refurbishments of both the Bar and Headhouse Court sheltered housing complexes. Both of these complexes are what we refer to as scatter sites, which means that they have standalone common areas, lounges, kitchens and toilet facilities, and are surrounded by bungalow-type properties. The 50 tenants that live across both sites were involved in selecting colour schemes and soft furnishings for the common areas, ensuring that they have facilities that suit the tenants and which they feel comfortable in. The final project that I would like to mention was the upgrade to the street lighting in Catacall Court. We've been meeting with tenants and residents at Catacall Court for some time now, partly in relation to concerns that they have around antisocial behaviour and potential drug dealing. Tenants were keen to
install CCTV to combat these issues. However, the street lighting that was in place couldn't support the CCTV equipment. So we have ultimately upgraded the lighting, street lighting, and installed the CCTV, which went in around October last year, and I'm happy to say that tenants have seen an improvement. We continue to work with the tenants and monitor the situation in the coming year. And that was my update.
Thanks for that. Very interesting. Yeah, what have we got? Anybody? No. Any questions or points? Or?
All good stuff.
Okay. Nobody else? Okay, thank you very much for your input. That was very interesting. Makes you think. So I'll let you escape then. Thank you very much. Could I ask you just to agree the recommendations? Okay. The last point we've got is 5 community grant applications. Do you know, read your back pages here, Pam. So, can we just take them all in one, or does anybody get any issues? Oh, there's always a John Anderson. After you, John.
Thanks, Chair. I'm just wondering, when you look at this, there's 3 applications for outing and entrance fees. One, the estimated cost was 7,000, and I know the maximum you get is £1,000. That one only get £300. And then when you look at the other 2, one's estimated cost £842. That get £350. Now, it's for the both are the same. In fact, there's 3 there the same, and yet that one only get £300. And if you look at the bottom, what we've got left is we've got £12,500 still in the kitty, with only a couple of months really to use it, because it needs to be used by the end of March. And I'm just wondering why that one only get £300, the other 2 get £350, and maybe even at this time of the year when we've got the money, why they all get £1,000, apart from the one that was only valued at £842. I just wonder if somebody could maybe explain. I know nobody here today probably could explain, but I'm just wondering if somebody could explain. How is it decided?
I'll pass over to Helen.
Thank you, Chair. We've got a set criteria that we work from with the grant recommendations, and normal outing and entrance fees is £350, but any requests from anything that's a sporting group like youth clubs and bowling clubs is a limit of £300, so that's why that one is slightly different. And also, regarding the remaining funds, we obviously need to keep some aside for ones that will still come in before the end of the financial year.
Okay. It's not like you, John. Right, no other urgent business, so thank you very much for your attendance.